My wife, who is 37, started a new job about 4.5 months ago. Along with this new job, she made some new friends. I am 36, and honestly, I didn't like these new friends of hers. They were all hardcore feminists, the kind that act like professional victims and social justice warriors. These are the type of women who will get angry whether you open the door for them or not. It felt like a lose-lose situation. At first, I tried to laugh it off, but over the past 2 months, I started noticing some unsettling changes in my wife. We've been married for 11 years and have 2 kids, a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. Things started getting worse and worse. She began accusing me of all sorts of nonsense, like saying I was inherently evil because men have historically oppressed women. Seriously, what? Anything I did for her, things she used to appreciate, suddenly became reasons to argue. It was all nonsense. I tried to be patient. These arguments usually ended with me saying something like, "I haven't done anything wrong. The only thing I am guilty of is loving you." This would usually leave her muttering, only for her to start the same arguments again the next day, with slightly different points. Then, about 5 weeks ago, I got this intense gut feeling that something was seriously wrong. One night, she came home late without giving me a heads up. I couldn't reach her phone, and when she finally did come back, she was rather drunk and acted distant and cold. The next day, she brushed me off, saying I was being controlling and reading too much into things. This scenario repeated a few more times. I tried snooping on her phone but couldn't find anything concrete, though it was clear she had deleted a lot of messages. I did find a conversation with one of her new friends, where they were discussing how she should approach me about having an open relationship. That was my aha moment. My instincts had been right, she was cheating. In that conversation, my wife mentioned she would talk to me about it on the second Monday of December. Our kids were with their grandparents for Christmas, and we were supposed to join them that day. So during breakfast, she casually brought up the idea of an open relationship, as if it was just a random thought. Fortunately, I was prepared. I had been reading a lot on Reddit, and I knew there was no saving this. My best option was to come out of this with some pride and self-esteem intact. From this point on, it was all about protecting myself and our kids. I didn't yell or scream. Instead, I went straight into interrogation mode, my jaw clenched. She had been cocky up to that point, but that vanished the moment she saw my face. "Who is he?" I asked. She tried to play innocent, pretending not to understand. "If you want to have this conversation, don't treat me like an idiot. At least be honest. If you can be honest, what's the point?" She stammered. "What do you mean? If you lie to me now, we can discuss our relationship. I can tell you were hiding something. Who is the guy you were screwing?" She denied it, but her stammering told me everything I needed to know. "Oh my God, it's more than one," I said. "Don't lie. You've destroyed my trust. Either be honest or I will divorce you. No arguments, no discussion, just divorce. Do you understand?" She tried to argue, but I cut her off. "Say it. Do you understand? If you lie, I will divorce you. I already know a lot. I can read you like a book. If I catch you lying, we are over. Say you understand." I understand," she finally admitted. She confessed to 2 one-night stands with men she met while out with her friends. I asked their names, if they were married, if she used protection, etc. They were both married with kids. Then she told me she planned to sleep with a colleague from work and intended to pursue it because it was good for her, and I had no right to control her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I got her colleague's name and his wife's name. Apparently, he's in an open relationship like the one she wanted for us. She even suggested setting me up with some of her friends, saying one of them was really keen. Seriously, I've seen this friend, and I wouldn't touch her with a barge pole. I told her I wasn't interested. I asked for her phone, and she showed me the pattern to unlock it. While she went to the bathroom, I locked myself in my office. She freaked out and banged on the door, but I managed to run recovery software on her phone and retrieved lots of painful evidence in about 30 minutes. I also installed a spying app from an online service. When I came out, I handed her the phone and told her to leave. She argued a lot, but I didn't respond beyond single-word answers. She showed no remorse throughout all this. She yelled that I was controlling her, holding her back like men always did to women, that I never loved her, and that she had every right to do what she did. She expected me to just accept it, saying it wasn't a big deal. I didn't argue back. In fact, I hardly said a word. I started packing her things while she followed me around, yelling nonstop. Eventually, I stood by the front door, silent, waiting for her to exhaust herself. Finally, she left reluctantly for her parents' house. As she was going down the stairs, I told her she was single now and free to do whatever she wanted. I wasn't controlling her anymore. I added that my lawyer would contact her in January. When she turned to respond, I slammed and locked the door without another word. Later, I watched as she talked to her friends about the situation. They were encouraging her, saying she was strong for standing up for what she deserved and that I was just bluffing. They assured her that I wouldn't go through with my threats. Really? Want to bet? What truly terrified me was when they advised her to accuse me of domestic abuse if things got tough. One friend even detailed how she had destroyed her ex-husband by making such accusations, taking everything from him. I immediately decided to install cameras around the house. I needed to record everything from now on. It was shocking to realize the extent of their manipulation. I had never threatened her in any way. Then, she started messaging her affair partner to arrange a meetup. They planned to meet at a hotel. I was in disbelief. I went online to find the affair partner's wife, and it didn't take long before she accepted my friend request on Facebook. I told her everything, including the hotel meetup. She thanked me and hung up. A few hours later, she sent me a video. She had confronted them at the motel. The screaming made it clear this wasn't the first time her husband had cheated. "You effing a hole, you did this to me again. To the kids again. I told you, we were over if you ever did this again. You beep." She barged into the room, filming my wife getting dressed on the edge of the bed. Watching that for the first time made me physically sick. The affair partner's wife slapped my wife and cursed her out. I messaged my wife telling her I saw the video from the hotel and that I never wanted her near me again. She seems to see our interactions as a game she is winning. She is completely delusional. I can understand any of it. It is like she is disconnected from reality and doesn't grasp that our marriage is over. I logged into her family's WhatsApp group and told them we were divorcing because of her infidelity. I thanked them for welcoming me into the family before disconnecting from the group. I've received a few calls and messages from her side, but I haven't responded. I just don't have the energy for it. I called my parents and told them everything. My father messaged my wife, telling her she wasn't welcome for Christmas. I met with my parents, and my boss gave me time off until January to sort things out. I've been monitoring my wife's increasingly frantic discussions with her friends. She hasn't realized she has lost her family, her marriage is over, and her new friends and affair partner Dante really care about her. She has sent me many messages and even showed up at my parents' house, demanding to celebrate Christmas with us. My father threatened to call the police if she didn't leave. Now, I am searching for divorce lawyers, crying my heart out. I think I've been in shock, but the reality and pain have hit me hard since I got to my parents' house. I can make sense of it all. It's painful to read their chats and interact with her. I've only responded to her messages twice. The first time I said, "It doesn't matter what you say. I don't know who you are. You're not my wife. My wife would never destroy my heart and soul while smiling. We will get a divorce. I don't care what you say or want. You have no influence or right to demand anything from me ever again. We are over." The second time I told her, like I said, "You are not my wife. I don't know you. My wife would never condemn our children to the pain and suffering of growing up in a broken home. You, whoever you are, seem to be proud of what you have done. My wife was loving, caring, considerate, my best friend. You are a self-obsessed, self-absorbed abomination." The messages stopped after that last one. The pain is absolutely unbearable at times. I wish this never happened. I wish I could go back to how things were, but I can do that to myself. This is the worst Christmas ever. I couldn't help myself and told the kids that mommy doesn't want to be a family anymore, that she wants to be with other men, and that we will get divorced. They were naturally distraught. Luckily, my mom and dad are here to help. They shower them with love and affection, while I am an absolute mess. I will try to get back on my feet for my kids' sake, but I am not going back to her ever. I wish I had waited until after Christmas to tell them so I could get them straight into counseling. I don't know what happened. I just blurted it out when they asked when their mother was coming home. I would never be able to look at myself in the mirror if I went back to her. The level of disrespect and callousness in her behavior is unforgivable. I am lost. I just don't get it. Why does she think she can demand anything from me now? Is she mentally ill or something? Sorry for the incoherent rant. I just needed to get this out. Edit, I found out that I am okay with the monitoring. I spoke with a lawyer a friend recommended. He assured me that since the phone and the subscription are in my name, it is perfectly legal for me to monitor it. Wow, I can't believe this situation. It seems like my wife is having an identity crisis and is easily influenced by those around her. It's clear she feels lost and is searching for answers. These new friends of hers are taking advantage of her vulnerable state. However, this doesn't excuse her behavior cheating and disrupting our family dynamic. If she had issues with me, she should have communicated those feelings, just as I have been honest with our children. It is important to be open with kids, and I don't think I said anything inappropriate in this case. They need to understand what is right and wrong. Update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I apologize for not updating sooner. I have been a complete mess, barely managing to read all the responses. There have been so many. I wish I could take credit for the developments, but honestly, I have been a sobbing wreck. I became obsessed with reading my wife's chats with her friends. The things said were insane and hurtful. What broke me was when my soon-to-be ex-wife harshly described our marriage, and especially our children, as burdens. She claimed they prevented her from being a successful woman and living up to her full potential. She painted me as an oppressive piece of crap that held her back from a good life. She blamed our family for her lack of a successful career and all the casual sex she supposedly missed out on. I broke down completely. I spent the next 30 hours or so reading and rereading every line of emails and chats over and over again. Reflecting on it, she provided no details on how we were burdens or oppressors, just blanket statements with no examples or supporting arguments. In fact, I never stopped her from doing anything. I paid for almost everything since her part-time job wouldn't support anyone. I supported her hobbies, dreams, and aspirations, even when she took up and dropped countless classes. I showed her love and appreciation every day, romanced her, took her out, and was there whenever she needed me. If this is what oppression looks like, then sign me up for some oppression. Eventually, I passed out from exhaustion. When I woke up, my 3 best friends were in the kitchen with my dad making dinner. These guys, let us call them Ethan, Daniel, and Matthew, have been my friends since childhood. My dad had brought them up to speed, and I broke down again, out of it until Friday evening. Ethan, who is ex-military, lost his left arm below the elbow. We were all there for him during his recovery when his wife bailed on him. Luckily, they had no children. Ethan has since adopted 2 kids and found a wonderful girlfriend. He set up a Zoom call with his counselor who helped him during his recovery. This counselor helped me understand my emotional state. Even though his specialty is amputees, he said that many wives sadly bail when their husbands are injured. His stories and examples were incredibly helpful. He asked me to see my soul and identity as having a large part tied to my marriage and role as a husband. That part is now dead. And just like an amputee feels phantom pain from a missing limb, I would feel phantom pain from the dead part of my identity. We talked for hours, and I've been steadily improving since. Daniel, an executive at an IT security company, never talks much about his job, but he's very well off. He called a law firm on retainer for his company. By Sunday morning, I was talking to a lawyer I could never afford in my wildest dreams. Daniel, who was bullied a lot as a kid, told me not to worry about the bill, he'd cover it. He was happy to repay me for all the times I took beatings for him, standing up to his bullies. Matthew, a teacher at a private school and father of 7 children, has been making sure my kids are okay while I get back on my feet. My kids adore him and his family. Yesterday was hectic. It started with an early morning STD screening where I found out she gave me chlamydia, another screening in 6 months. My self-pity turned to pure anger. That was the last straw. Gloves off. I'm going for full custody and giving her nothing if I can help it. The lawyer tracked down the ex-husband of one of my wife's feminist friends who bragged about screwing him over. It was easy via court documents. I spoke with him on WhatsApp. He thanked me and shared the horrific details of what his ex-wife did to him. This entire experience has been a nightmare, but with the support of my friends and family, I am slowly getting through it. The pain is unbearable at times, and I wish this had never happened. But there's no going back now. I need to focus on protecting myself and my children. Now I know what to expect from my soon-to-be ex-wife. It was sickening, but I was ready for a fight. After hearing about his experiences, I am preparing for war. It was heartbreaking to learn how he had been homeless and barely seen his kids for 4 years. all because of his ex-wife's lies. I understand that, as a man, I am at a disadvantage in the court system, so I am gathering tons of evidence. My lawyer suggested a preemptive strike by filing a restraining order due to her aggressive and negative comments about males, especially for our son Esuk. Growing up in a household with an openly anti-male parental figure can be very damaging. I am aiming for full custody. I gave my lawyer the green light, and she expects my wife to be served the restraining order today. I had a Zoom call with my soon-to-be ex-wife. She hadn't reached out to me or the kids since she showed up at my dad's door to argue. The call was bizarre. She was all dolled up with a plunging neckline, clearly trying to look her best. I haven't seen her put in that much effort in years. Throughout the conversation, she tried to bait me into a fight, hoping to get me angry. But I kept my cool. My lawyer had advised me on what to ask for. Apparently, it looks good if attempts are made for an amicable divorce before filing for a contested one. I was recording the call and even told her so. Yet, she didn't disappoint with her absurdity. She started with a ridiculous statement about how there are two types of penises, one that stays roughly the same size whether it's erect or not, and another that changes size. What in the world? Who starts a call with their husband like that? She then mused about looking forward to the end of current restrictions so she could investigate this more in person. I simply told her I wasn't interested in her hobbies and wanted to discuss our divorce. She got openly hostile when I didn't take the bait. At one point, she muted herself, claiming she was going to the bathroom, and I watched her consult her friends about how to handle me. She cursed me out for nothing more than being a man several times. Throughout the call, I had this strange feeling that she saw it as a game where she was in control, and I had no choice but to comply with her demands. We made zero progress on our divorce, so I concluded that a contested divorce was necessary. I told her, "By the way, you gave me chlamydia. Unlike you, I haven't been sleeping with anyone else, so you better get yourself to a clinic." She just frowned at me like she didn't believe me. At this point, I no longer care what is going on with her. I sent the recording to my lawyer, who was shocked. Everyone thinks my wife is insane at this point, and maybe she is. Since I own the phone and the subscription, I can use the chat logs in court. It is fully legal to monitor my own device. After our call, her friends were frantic, but I finally put it aside. I no longer care what they talk about. My lawyer is confident we will win this unless there's something I haven't told him. So here we are. It still hurts, but I can treat it like phantom pain now. I've stopped feeling sorry for myself and am going for the jugular. No prisoners. I need to protect myself and my kids. I am good and my kids will be fine. I'll make sure they get all the therapy they need. My soon-to-be ex-wife will soon be a distant memory as I start building a new, better life. I found out today that she knew about the chlamydia and got treated without telling me. She joked and laughed about it with her friends. It is easy to fall into an obsessive state when gathering evidence against your spouse. We cling to these things, trying to understand why the infidelity happened and where it all went wrong. It is hard to see what someone says about you behind your back. She's hurt and resentful, looking to hurt those around her. She should have communicated her feelings when things started going wrong, not waited for something catastrophic. It is often hard to ask for help, though. Update 2. Firstly, thank you everyone for the feedback. Apart from the hacking adverts disguised as comments or PMs, which I've blocked, I've received a lot of support. Many of you say I am strong or winning somehow. Rereading my posts, I see my anger filters through, making me seem defiant and sure of myself. Truth is, I am not. I wish this never happened. I wish my family was still intact, and I had a long, comfortable life ahead with my wife as our kids grow and start their own lives. No one wins here. My wife has gone off the rails and our entire train is burning in the ditch. I don't know what is wrong with her. She refuses to see a medical professional for possible mental issues and is acting like nothing is wrong. She still shows no remorse or regret. She acts as if I am unreasonable for not just accepting whatever she wants and has barely spoken to the kids since D-Day. I am divorcing her and taking action to separate our lives because I have no other choice. Her behavior has left me with no way back. I wish this wasn't indeed necessary. I can never trust her again, and I cry myself to sleep every night over my own loss and the fact that my children will grow up in a broken home. It also breaks my heart that my children no longer have a functioning relationship with their mother. How do you answer your child when they ask, "Why doesn't mommy want to see me anymore?" Doesn't she love me? I have no idea how to respond to that. If anyone knows, please tell me, because I sure as hell don't. Every day I wake up and tell myself that my heart can break any more than it already has, only to be proven wrong throughout the day. My wife either doesn't know or doesn't care that I can monitor her communications. She is 100% convinced that I will never leave her, and that my reaction to her behavior is totally unjustified. She keeps bad-mouthing me to her friends, criticizing our marriage and our children. I don't understand why she hates us so much. We haven't done any of the things she accuses us of. My lawyer won a temporary restraining order against her. There was a hearing yesterday morning, and since there were no new direct threats, it wasn't extended. My lawyer suggested using the fact that she knowingly infected me with chlamydia as leverage to try to get her to agree to an undisputed divorce. I wish we could separate in a reasonable manner. I hate seeing her as the enemy and always expecting the worst. If she wanted to leave me, I could live with that. But why force me into this extremely adversarial process? Why does she try to hurt the people who used to love her so much? What does she gain from this? If we go to court, I'll probably have to pay her a lump sum for the equity in our house. I might not be liable for alimony, and since she shows no interest in the kids, I am hopeful I'll win custody. My lawyer suggested trying to get her to agree to an amicable divorce, so we are planning to meet with her and her representative this week. The ex-husband who was defrauded by his ex-wife spent New Year's Eve with me and the kids. The injustice fathers face in the court system is astounding. He has hardly seen his children since his ex lied in court, forcing him to pay unreasonable amounts of alimony and child support, which has nearly broken him. He has contemplated ending things permanently. With the new evidence from me, he has renewed hope. We both spoke to my lawyer, who suggested he sit on the evidence until the meeting with my wife and her counsel to avoid revealing our hand. My lawyer's goal is to get me divorced from my wife as soon as possible, as smoothly as possible. I just hope to get away from her. If she decides to fight, it could drag on for a long time, stressing me out. I need to get free. I'll post an update if we have a meeting or go directly to a contested divorce in court. Update 3. Sadly, the bizarre situation continues. The meeting with my lawyer and my soon-to-be ex-wife was yesterday afternoon. She showed up 30 minutes late without a lawyer, claiming she doesn't have or need one. Instead, she brought one of her new friends. My lawyer had given me strict instructions on how to behave, don't react negatively, respond non-confrontationally, and if she placed her hands flat on the table, I needed to keep my mouth shut. They showed up late, of course, with no masks. Her friend tried to insult me and provoke a reaction, and my soon-to-be ex-wife did the same. My lawyer tried to steer the discussion towards our divorce, but they just joked around, laughing at their own insults. It was cringeworthy. My wife still believes this is all a ruse and that there's no way I can divorce her. In her mind, only she can divorce me, and only if she wants to. If she does, she thinks she'll get everything. I just sat there thinking, what the hell is going on? I didn't say anything substantial, just responded a few times with, yes, you're probably right, or I really don't know. Finally, they ran out of steam. My lawyer seized the moment and began outlining the proposed settlement for an amicable divorce. She mentioned that I was willing to be generous for a quick and peaceful resolution, offering a lump sum of $60,000 for the equity in the house, investments, etc. My soon-to-be ex-wife and her friend got excited even before my lawyer finished speaking. Encouraged by her friend, my soon-to-be ex-wife eagerly asked where to sign. My lawyer asked several times if she wanted to review the rest of the agreement, but she insisted on signing immediately. She started asking when she could expect the money and mentioned needing to get to the pub. My lawyer called someone in, whispered to them, and there was a flurry of activity. An older woman requested our identity documents, and we signed the copies. When we finished, the old lady stamped them, and I later learned she was a notary. My lawyer, almost standing on her hand, thanked my soon-to-be ex-wife and her friend, and told them we were done. They left without even taking their copy of the agreement. My lawyer waited until they were crossing the parking lot before congratulating me. She remarked that this was the strangest session she'd ever had for a negotiated divorce. She told me she'd send my soon-to-be ex-wife's copy after we have a hearing in front of the judge or if she gets a lawyer who asks for it. Until then, it would stay in her drawer. On the surface, it looks like I will get through this divorce much easier than I first thought. My soon-to-be ex-wife can still hire legal representation and dispute this. But my lawyer is trying to call in every favor to get a hearing with a judge as soon as possible. It will likely be a video call. Following advice from Reddit, I hired a private investigator who got photos of my wife making out with 2 different guys at 2 different bars and going to a hotel with one of them. I have plenty of evidence piled up if needed. My wife signed to give me full custody, with only a one-time payment of $60,000. No spousal support, nothing else. Now I just need to find the money. Daniel offered to front me the entire amount if necessary. I still can't believe this is real. I fully expect her to pull out an aggressive lawyer and accuse me of molesting the kids and domestic abuse. My lawyer advised me to keep a very low profile, continue paying for everything I normally do, and not rock the boat. She said to avoid talking to anyone we both know, stay quiet and wait. No responding to anything, just zero initiative until the hearing. So now I just need to be patient and hope for the best. Update 4. So yesterday was the hearing. I am basically divorced. It will take 4-6 months for the paperwork to be official. But at this point, there's nothing anyone can do to change the outcome unless both my wife and I decide to stop it. I am exhausted and haven't slept for days, so if I sound a bit scattered, I apologize. I just need to get this out, to vent, and maybe I can sleep afterward. My awesome lawyer got me an early hearing just 12 days after submitting the paperwork. I'm sure she called in some favors. The past weekend has been insane. On Friday morning, a bunch of police officers knocked on my door with a warrant to search the house. I was confused and worried about the kids, so I asked if I could take them outside while they searched. Thankfully, they agreed. They didn't tell me much, but I got a copy of the warrant. I was so shaken up that I couldn't make sense of it. It seems everyone was right about my ex-wife's behavior being drug-related. The cops trashed my house during the search. I called my lawyer, but the warrant was valid, so there was nothing she could do at the time. I didn't think about it then, but I have cameras everywhere now, in case I get wrongfully accused. I have video and audio of everything, so I might make a claim later, but I'm not sure I have the energy for that. I didn't know it then, but my ex-wife and her 3 friends drove my car while high and drunk and crashed into a house at high speed. They were all arrested, all of them drunk, and they had drugs on them and in their system. They were pretty roughed up by the crash. The passenger is in critical condition, and they don't know if she will make it. The lead friend, let us call her Sophia, is the one who bragged about screwing over her ex-husband in court. Let us call her ex-husband Jason. Jason and I have become really good friends. I'll get back to him later. Thankfully, the police didn't find anything during their search. I gave my statement, explaining that my ex-wife no longer lives here and that she resides with her parents. I also clarified that I didn't give Sophia permission to drive my car. When I got back inside, I broke down completely. The house was trashed. It was the last straw. I called my dad, who took me and the kids to stay with my mom. Dad then rallied a group of 26 friends and relatives. While I was on the back porch, sobbing and eating my mom's amazing comfort food, they completely cleaned and fixed my entire house. They took care of every room, did the laundry, washed the dishes, cleaned the furniture, and even scrubbed the ceilings and walls. They fixed all the little things like loose door handles, too. I couldn't believe they did all this for me. I have no idea how to ever repay them. I went from feeling suicidal to feeling pretty good over the weekend, thanks to them. The cops found more drugs at Sophia's house, and her boyfriend wasn't there. No babysitter either, just the kids alone. CPS took the kids, and Jason won temporary emergency custody on Saturday, after showing the judge the chat logs. Combined with the abandonment and drugs, he got custody without much difficulty. Jason is over the moon happy. He has hardly seen his kids in the last 5 years. He still needs to go to court to make it permanent, but the odds are really good now. Everyone thinks Sophia will serve time, especially if her friend in critical condition doesn't make it. After that, Jason will try for child support and compensation for all the crap Sophia did, though he isn't expecting much. He wants to focus on being with his kids and ensuring they have a good life. Daniel has been a champ, setting Jason up in a rental apartment through a friend. I've realized that I know practically nothing about Daniel's private or professional life and intend to remedy that. Anyway, Sophia was driving when she crashed into a house. They were all pretty banged up, and because of the situation, alcohol and drugs, search warrants were issued for everyone's residence. Since my ex is still registered at my address, my house got searched too. On Sunday, I decided I am selling the house and moving away ASAP to avoid this happening again. On Sunday, I got a call from her parents. Their house got searched as well. They visited their daughter in jail on Saturday and no longer trust anything she says. Long story short, they came over to talk on Sunday and found out she had been lying to them about everything. The night she was out partying and cheating, she told them she was staying with me and trying to work things out. They had no idea what was actually happening, or what she had done to me and the kids. They knew she cheated but believed it was a one-time drunken mistake because that's what she told them. On Monday, my wife called me to try to get me to post bail. It was $15,000, and her parents had already told her no. After consulting my lawyer, she drafted an agreement that the bail would be subtracted from the settlement until she shows up in court and the bail is released. The agreement included her mother as the custodian of the remaining amount. My lawyer didn't want my wife to have any excuse for missing the hearing. My ex didn't have a choice and signed the agreement. She was released Monday afternoon. According to her parents, she refused to comply with their conditions to continue living there, like stopping drugs, committing to rehab, and dropping bad friends. She left their house on Tuesday to stay with some new friends. She didn't show for the hearing, and after presenting everything, including the weekend events, I won full custody. The settlement is according to the agreement we made. The hearing was quick, only 30 minutes. It will take 4 or 6 months for the paperwork to go through, but in reality, it's done. There's nothing that can stop it now. That brings us to today. I haven't been able to sleep. Everyone is congratulating me and treating it like a major victory, but it sure doesn't feel like I've won anything. This is just pain. I still love my wife. I know it is over and there is no way back, but she was my best friend, my soulmate until recently. Even though my love for her has been mortally wounded, it's still there, and it hurts like hell. There are no winners here. I lose, my wife loses, my kids lose. It feels like I am being asked to celebrate losing both my legs, but being commended for saving half a kneecap, so I can really sleep, and when I do, I'm torn by terrible nightmares. They wake me up, drenched in cold sweat. I'm probably complaining a bit here, sorry about that. Anyway, today I got a call from the hospital informing me that my ex-wife had been admitted. As her emergency contact, and since she is still on my health insurance, they needed to reach out to me. Apparently, she had been in an altercation and suffered some serious injuries, a few lost teeth, and a broken jaw. She will need to stay for observation for a few days. I brought her parents to the hospital, and we learned that some of her new friends had beaten her up badly. Word had spread that Jason had chat logs of Sophia bragging about her exploits, which were obtained from my wife's phone. They assumed my wife had given the logs to Jason, leading to them attacking her and kicking her out. She still didn't realize that I was monitoring her phone. For now, I'll continue paying for her insurance, phone, and other expenses until the divorce papers are officially in my hands. I want to believe it's over until I see those documents. She has nothing left. She even asked if she could move back home, but I firmly told her there was no way that was happening. Her mother wanted to give her a single penny, unless she gets clean and stays clean for at least a year. They offered her a place to stay under strict conditions, stop using drugs, commit to rehab, be transparent, and cut ties with her bad influences. If she doesn't accept, I don't see how she will manage. This is the first time I've seen any form of regret from her since all this started, but I think it is more about losing her lifestyle than genuine remorse. She did say, "I'm sorry I ruined everything, but it didn't seem sincere." She couldn't even look me in the eyes. It hurt seeing her like this, and part of me wanted to protect her, but she's an adult. Her behavior is dangerous and erratic, and my priority has to be protecting my kids. She didn't ask about the hearing or the condition of her critically injured friend. She just sat there irritated. I still can't understand it. She has lost everything and caused so much pain for so many people. And for what? A temporary high and meaningless sex? I'm going completely no contact until she has been clean for a long time. I can't deal with the chaos anymore. Update 5. Many people have been PMing me for an update. I intended to post one yesterday, but I didn't have the energy. I am feeling very depressed and incredibly tired. I hardly sleep, and when I do, I am plagued by nightmares. The good news is that the kids are doing better. My dad has been amazing. I don't know what I'd do without him. We went to his cabin for a bit of skiing this weekend, me, him, and the kids. It was a nice break. I've had almost no contact with my ex. However, I did speak to one of her friends, the one in critical condition. She woke up but is in terrible shape. Her nurse told me she was saddened that no one had visited her. Her family refused to see her. Worried that the people who attacked my ex might come after me and the kids, I asked through the nurse if I could talk to her. Surprisingly, she agreed. I know I shouldn't have, but I needed answers about what happened since my wife started hanging out with them. She began by asking if I wanted a BJ for $20. That was incredibly awkward. I offered her $50 for the information I needed instead. She revealed that her friends are hardcore drug users and addicts. Sophia dragged my wife into their group against the wishes of the other two and convinced her to try drugs and party with them. They financed their drug habits by selling sexual favors. Sophia led this, justifying it with strong feminist rhetoric about bodily autonomy, but she admitted it was all BS to protect their egos. They were really just prostituting themselves for drug money. My wife bought into their ideology first and quickly got addicted. Once hooked, she too started selling sex to pay for drugs. Hearing that the person I loved more than anything turned herself into a sex worker to feed her addiction was devastating. It makes sense now why all she wanted was money. According to her friend, it's mainly meth. No one visited her because she has stolen, cheated, abused, and lied to everyone in her life, and now no one wants anything to do with her. She told me without a hint of emotion how sad she was to have survived. She has no hope for the future and looks like death without makeup. It was heart-wrenching. I cried a lot for my wife's sake. I'm not excusing her. She chose this path, and now she's paying the price. She also provided information about the guys who attacked my ex-wife. I'll get back to that later. Sophia has been charged with multiple offenses: death threats, resisting arrest, drug possession, prostitution, drug trafficking, child abuse and neglect, DUI, property damage, and auto theft. She has been denied bail as a flight risk and will likely be in jail for a long time, or at least I hope so. Before continuing, I want to thank everyone who reached out with advice on dealing with addicts. Many warned me that my ex might try to harm herself now that the walls are closing in. You were right. She tried to deliberately OD. I had talked to her father beforehand, knowing there was a high chance she might attempt something like this. We decided to monitor her closely. Luckily, she still doesn't know that I have live information from her mobile. While we were at the cabin on Saturday, I received a message from her that read like a suicide note. She confessed about the addiction, the prostitution, and how she let everyone down. She said she was going to do the only thing she thought she could. I immediately called her dad, and thanks to the mobile monitor, I had her location. Her father rushed out and found her unconscious on a park bench. She was taken to the hospital and pumped. She was also very hypothermic. I dread to think what might have happened if he had arrived just a little later. They have her on methadone for now, and her father successfully became her appointed guardian. She can no longer object to treatment. He had her forcibly committed to a rehab center where she will go through a sedated detox. I don't know when, but probably this week. Her father was appointed not because she OD'd, but because she abandoned her children. Apparently, abandoning your children proves you are not rational, while trying to end your life is acceptable in the eyes of the law. Thankfully, I hadn't had a chance to cancel her life insurance yet, so she will get treatment. I offered to help her father with the finances, as long as my ex isn't told about my involvement. I have been very scared that the guys who beat up my wife would come after me and the kids. Remember, Jason presented chat logs in court, which they believed my wife gave him. I talked to Jason about it, and he decided to handle the situation since he benefited from the disclosure. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Jason is an intimidating figure. He grew up on a farm carrying heavy stuff since he was a kid, so he looks like he could rip the average man in half. He bends down to walk through doorways, has a crew cut, and some facial scars. Despite his appearance, he is incredibly patient, gentle, and kind. I have no doubt he will use force if necessary, but it's a last resort for him. Jason went to the guy's apartment, which was a real dump. He grabbed the two men by the neck and told them that Sophia had given him the chat logs. He gave them a choice: go with him to the police and confess everything related to the assault, or face him right there and suffer painful, permanent injuries. As he told it to me, he let them know that he hoped they would choose the second option. They couldn't get to the police station fast enough. Needless to say, I no longer worry about them. I have found a new apartment and will be moving soon. Once again, Daniel came through. Overall, I am very depressed. This is weighing heavily on my soul. What keeps me going are my friends and family, and I know I need to stay strong for the kids. My heart breaks for my ex. Despite everything, I don't regret marrying her. I still love her, but I know we can never be together again. She isn't the person she used to be, and there's just too much pain between us. Despite all the recent pain, we had a good life before this. I wouldn't have my children without her, and wouldn't give them up for anything. I know it's going to hurt for a long time. I hope I am strong enough to get through it. Strangely, news of my wife's addiction has helped my kids deal with it. It's easier to explain that mommy is sick and it will take a long time for her to get well. She still loves them, etc. Right now, I am sad and tired. Jason is here with the kids, and we are going to watch Madagascar 3. I am trying to make as many good new memories as possible. Jason is doing the same, and our kids look like they are doing much better now. I think we will be okay. Thank you everyone for all your help. This will probably be my last post here. Last update, X passed away. She overdosed while in rehab. We don't know how she got the drugs, but one doctor speculated that she might have swallowed a bag that burst. I won't be posting any more or answering comments. Thank you to everyone who provided helpful suggestions and comments. I'm so sorry for your loss, OP. Grieving a conflicted relationship is incredibly challenging. It's important to remember that this was not your fault. Addiction is a serious, often deadly disease, and no one person is to blame. Conflicted relationships can complicate grief, making it more difficult. You might fixate on unpleasant memories and the time spent apart. It is crucial to invite these feelings in and open up to others about them. The more you hold in, the more damage it can cause. Sending love and light your way.